Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, why did Dracula fail art class? Because he could only draw blood. Speaking of vampires, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Blood Orders from Trick or Treat Studios. In Blood Orders from Trick or Treat Studios, 2 to 4 players are going to take on the roles of various vampires who were once royalty among the undead but have been disgraced and now must rebuild their own undead empire. Each player is going to get their own player screen according to their faction, as well as kind of a bat that's going to help them take out their orders. You're also going to receive a number of tokens and some starter cards, bleeders and elders, that are kind of your basic cards that are going to help you do your dirty work. The game board has different locations. You've got the north, south, east, and west quarters, and you're going to have different spots for cards to be placed on the board, as well as some various other items and places for your order tokens as well. Players are going to have 3 different order tokens. These correspond to Dawn, Dusk, and Night, and they're going to be used in order to carry out, as I say, your nefarious purposes. Players are also going to receive a number of blood tokens and hypnosis tokens, as well as some various other goodies. Now on the board you have different locations. For instance, you have the kind of Arcane Rituals card, and that's a location you can send orders to in order to gain an arcane ritual if you can pay their costs. You also have a space to get more bleeders or elders. Again, these are your most basic cards, just how they are, how their points are distributed are a little bit different. These cards typically have Dawn, Dusk, and Night spaces where they have different point values, and that's going to be important as the game progresses. You have 3 order tokens, and each of these represent Dawn, Dusk, or Night that correspond to spots on the board. The board, each of those quarters is going to have a day location, a dusk location, and a night location. Essentially, in the day location, you're going to place location cards that are going to give you certain advantages if you go there. You're also going to have the victims in the dusk area. Again, if you were to take one of those actions, you just get some of the action on that card. But if you go to the night location, you can actually take the dusk victim card. You can take the victim card and add him to your hand, and that is going to make your hand more powerful going forward. So there are a few phases here. During the planning phase, players are going to go ahead and select where they want to send their tokens. Do they want to send them to the north, south, east, or west quarter? And they do that by placing an order token with Dawn, Dusk, or Night facing upward on their bat. Now on the board itself, where you have the location and the victim, there may be a number of crosses. These represent fear. And whatever that fear number is of those combined cards total, you place a die in a space, and then whatever is showing on that die, that's kind of the number of cards, points you have to commit in order to go for that location. So you go ahead, you place your orders on your bat, and then underneath that you're going to place cards that have points for those specific locations and those specific actions. After you've made your planning and you've committed your orders, you're going to go ahead and reveal your orders. You're then going to place them on the board in the various spots, either in the quarters or for the rituals or the other weaker cards. You're going to then kind of top to bottom, left to right, resolve all of these locations. Again, if you have a day token in the north quarter, you're going to resolve the action on the location there. If you have a dusk in the north quarter, you're going to go ahead and resolve that location. But if you have the dusk, you're actually going to, as I say, be able to take that card, the victim card, but you're also going to be able to take any blood and hypnosis tokens that are already on that on the night spot. Now, of course, you have to have those cards with the assigned points in order to do these things. Now also critically, if more than one person is assigned orders to the knight and they both want that card, they have to do battle. In that case, you look at the cards you've assigned, and whoever has the most points wins that battle. Now, some of the cards have the coffin symbol that is kind of your victory points, and you're going to do other things that may give you victory points. But you're also going to be advancing kind of up this fear track. Anytime you get fear, you move up the fear track. And the fear track is not so bad at the lower end. It's going to go ahead and give you more points. But as you move further and further up the fear track, then suddenly you're going to start losing those victory points. Now, if you've had a battle and you won the battle, all of the vampires that fought in that battle for you go into torpor. Essentially, they're out of the game until you bring it back. So in the last phase, the cleanup phase, you essentially have to pay blood in order to bring those cards back into your hand. Now, the game takes place over 9 turns in 3 acts. So essentially, you've got 3 acts of 3 turns each. Now, at the end of every turn, you're going to replace some of the cards. At the end of every act, you're going to replace pretty much all the cards. And you're going to go ahead and proceed like that through the game. Now, the cards themselves are going to become more and more powerful on the board. They're going to have more point values assigned to them, but they're also going to be maybe more difficult to acquire. And many of the cards on the board, you're going to be paying either the hypnosis tokens or blood, which is currency, in order to gain other items or other cards or other abilities. But you're going to go around and around. You're going to be signing your orders. You're going to be taking the actions on the cards on the board. You're going to be trying to claim various cards and sometimes having to fight other vampires in order to do it. And then at the very end, after you've completed all of that, you're going to go to scoring. That is at the end of the 9th game turn. So for scoring, what you're going to do is you're going to look at any coffin tokens you've got. You're going to look at coffin symbols on any of your cards. You're also going to get, I think it's for every 2 hypnosis tokens, you'll get some points. You're then going to look at that track. As I say, if you are far along the fear track, it's going to work against you. If you've managed to kind of hold your fear back, then you will actually gain points. So you're going to go ahead, add up all your points, and whoever has the most points wins. Blood orders. So a couple of things here. First of all, I love horror as a genre. I love horror books. I love horror movies. And it's just a genre I really enjoy. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I enjoyed it. And then I love vampires. I remember when I was a kid and I watched Salem's Lot, and that little kid was scratching at the window, scared the hell out of me, and I loved it. But I've always loved good vampire stories. I remember when I was a kid, I was about, 10 or 11, and Lost Boys came out. I thought that was the coolest movie. I love vampire and vampire stories. I think they're great. I've read most of the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, who just passed away. God bless her. But I love them. I love good vampire stuff. And one thing about this game, I'll tell you right off the bat, I love the artwork. This is some great artwork here. It's kind of looks like those old 70s comic books that are real kind of gross and disturbing, but it's just fun. I really like the aesthetic of this game. I really like those orders quite a bit. I think, if I'm honest, I kind of think that the bat is a little cheesy that you have for the kind of player board where you place your orders. You place it below to go to the locations, place it above to go to the rituals or the bleeders and elder cards. A little cheesy, but it's fine. It's fine. So the game, initially I read through the rules, and I got to be honest with you, when I read through the rules, it didn't click in my head. It did not click in my head. This was a game that I had to actually sit down and work through in order to understand the mechanics here. And so what I'm saying is there's a learning curve here. There's a learning curve to this game. And one of the kind of mechanics that I really struggled with is the way you have the order tokens that have the day, dusk, the dawn, dusk, and night in the center of it, and then the directions north, south, east, west on the periphery, and then you assign it there, and then that corresponds on the board to the location that you're going for. You say it like that, and it doesn't sound like it's that big a deal, but I could not get my mind around it playing the game, and I would have to think about it, and then I second guess myself. I'm like, no, that's right. It wasn't intuitive. It was not intuitive the way you would assign orders here. And about halfway through the game, I'm playing with Jeff, and Jeff says to me, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the way you assign orders here. And I was like, oh, it's not just me, So maybe it's just us. I don't know, but it's counterintuitive, and it takes a while to wrap your brain around that. So just be aware of that going into this. It's not a deck builder I wouldn't call this game a deck builder, but it seems like there's almost elements of deck building here. And the way you are going after the cards and you're collecting the cards. And I mean, fundamentally, it kind of feels this is a card game. It really feels like a card game that has the board just for the locations of the cards, right? So there's that aspect to the game, which is cool. I mean, I'm fine with games like that. I think on one hand, this is a pretty slick engine. It's a pretty well designed kind of point building game. It feels very Euro-y in that sense, and it does that very well. You know, like kind of an engine building where you're going for the points in the different ways. I think it does that very well. My bigger critique is it does feel a little bit like it's a game that maybe goes on a little bit longer than the fun it generates. And you know, you've got a ton of different kinds of cards in this game, and that's cool. But you're playing through all of them, and by the time you're at the end, you're kind of ready for the game to end. I kind of wish the game, and I've only played this 2-player, so you know, I think if you had 3 or 4, it might be a bit much. And maybe it's a thing where you just play through to the second act and then see if you want to keep going, you know, so you could house rule it. Because there's a lot of stuff here I like. There's a lot of stuff in this game I like mechanically and certainly aesthetically. But you got the learning curve, and then you do have that. It kind of goes on a little bit too long. So anyway, with all these factors in mind, I'm going to say try it before you buy it. I think there's some meat here. There's some good stuff. It plays like a Euro, which, you know, I like a good Euro now and then. They're not necessarily my favorite, but I like a good Euro every now and then. It feels very Euro-ish, and like I say, I really like the aesthetic, and I like there's a lot of systems in here that I really do enjoy. Again, learning curve, and maybe goes on a little bit too long. But try it before you buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on BoardGameGeek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and fun things like that. We'd also ask you to please give a thumb to this video on BoardGameGeek. That helps us out a lot as well. Say, ladies and gentlemen, why didn't Superman defeat Dracula in a timely manner? Because he can't go in the crypt tonight. Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love the... What's gonna do? Play another Cthulhu game?